Hey guys, in this week's tutorial we create a Peppa and George Pig cake. To start, I've got a 7-inch round pre-covered in Lincoln green sugar paste. As always, the steps to get you to this point are linked below along with all the materials I use. It's been stuck down on a cake drum slightly off centre to the back. We're going to cover the board using the toilet seat method. The full tutorial for that is also linked below. It's the same green as on the cake. Once you've got it covered, cut an arch out of it to the front right hand side. Dampen the board and insert a baby blue arch shape. It doesn't have to fit exactly, you can manipulate it to fit, and then trim off the overhang. For the mud, take some chocolate brown Renshaw's paste and roll it out slightly bigger than the 7-inch round. Now take a 7-inch round drum or card and lay it on your paste to use as a guide. Cut out a wavy pattern around the board, making longer and shorter drips. Then remove the card and cut some of the drips shorter, so when it's placed on top you can see bits of the grass. Lay the mud into position and stick it down with water. Dampen each drip so you can stick them to the sides of the cake. Once stuck down, go around and rub the cut edge to soften it and make it more rounded. Here I've traced the name onto greaseproof paper. There's an in-depth look into this on my lava tutorial. Roll out your colour of choice and lay your template over the top. Draw around the letter with your Dresden tool. This will leave an impression in the paste that you can then follow with your scalpel. My next letter will be yellow, so I've rolled that out ready. Just do the same thing for each of your letters, or to save time you can make them all the same colour. Popping them on a foam pad will help them firm up a little faster. For the backing, I've got Atlantic blue Renshaw's with Tylo powder added to help keep its shape. Place your letters on top and play around with the layout. When you're happy, stick them down with water. Using a scalpel, cut out a wavy frame around it. If you're not comfortable doing it freehand, you can always use a template. Pop it onto some foam to help it firm up a bit. Once you can handle it and it's not too floppy, wet the back and stick it to the front of your cake. Dampen around the whole frame with a paintbrush and stick on a long sausage of white paste. Just follow the humps and bumps and then cut it off at the join and smooth it together. Now onto little George. I'm using the same Atlantic blue with Tylo added and rolling a simple ball for his body. Place this to the left of the muddy puddle and insert a cocktail stick down ready to support the head. For his boots, roll some red paste into a ball and then into a fat sausage. Bend the sausage to the size of the boot you want and then pinch the edge between your fingers. This will flatten the bottom of the boot. Then rub the long piece between your fingers to thin out near the ankle. Chop the boot down to the size you want, preferably on a cutting mat and not your hand. Stick 2 boots to the front of his body. To make Peppa a little more lightweight to get her to stand, we are using this polystyrene rose centre as it's already a pretty close shape. We just want to take the very tip off with a scalpel. Roll some red paste into a ball and push the shape into it, slowly teasing the paste up the sides and to the top, closing the gap. Then roll it between your hands to remove the seams and smooth it out. Flatten the base of the dress by pushing down and rolling it between your hands. To smooth the sides, lay it on the mat and roll it from side to side. Trim off the top flat and you should be left with a shape a bit like this. Push 2 cocktail sticks in the base of the body for the legs. And another one in the top to secure the head. Make some yellow boots for Peppa in the same way and push them onto the cocktail sticks. Push this into the cake on the right. For the head, you'll need some pale pink paste with Tylo powder added. Roll a crack-free ball and gently tease out a snout shape. Flatten it with the snout to the right. Here, I'm running the bridge of the snout across the mat to flatten it. Run your finger under the snout to define it. With the very end, start flattening out on an angle. Finally, with a ball tool, create 2 eye sockets towards the top. Put it on a foam pad to set. Then make Peppa's head slightly larger and with the snout on the left. To make George's dinosaur, I've got some darker green and I'm rolling a small tapered sausage. Tease the top of the sausage out to the right to create a head, and curl the taper up at the back for a tail. Cut out a triangle from the face to create an open mouth. Roll out a thin string of white paste and cut a piece out for the top set of the teeth. Make cuts with the scalpel to create teeth and tap them with the Dresden dull to make them more pointed. Do the same for the bottom set. Stick dinosaur's body to the front of George. Add 2 tiny white balls and flatten them for eyes. Roll out the same green and cut out a pointed spiky edge. Then cut straight down and remove the excess. Stick this all down the back of dinosaur. For his legs, roll a thin string of green and cut 2 pieces. Curl one of the pieces round into a C shape and place it on top of the straight piece. It looks like a tiny green fork. Add this to the body. Another way to do this is to roll a string and flatten one end so it looks like a spoon. Make 2 slits in the spoon and separate the pieces. Now you've got another tiny green fork. Add this to the front and finish him off with black pupils. George's arms are just larger pink forks with the fingers separated, and they've been tapped at the end to round them off. Just stick them on with water. Roll out some Atlantic blue into a chunky sausage. Cut one end flat and curve the paste to make your desired number. Pop it on a foam pad whilst we work on the duck. Using yellow, roll a ball and then pinch it in the centre, leaving one end plumper than the other. With the plump end, roll it on the mat to elongate it and tease the end into a pointed tail. You should have your basic duck shape. Push the ball tool into the head to make an eye socket. Don't forget to mirror it on the other side. Push a ball of white in and a smaller ball of black. For the beak, roll out a sausage of orange and fold it in half, leaving one ever so slightly shorter than the other. Trim the fold off flat and bend the beak upwards and stick it to the face with water. Add him to his little pond. For the bush, roll a large ball of green and tease it into a teardrop shape. Flatten it slightly and cut 2 slits on one side and 1 on the other. Open up the slit and soften the inner edge whilst bending out the sharper piece. Add this on the left of the name. To make grey, I mix white paste with a little pinch of black paste. Then take off a small piece and push angles into it to make a stone. Wet the edge of the pond and line it with stones. Wet the back of your number and stick it to the bush. For the frog, it's simply a ball of green and 2 eye sockets pushed in. I got this tool as part of a cheap set and very rarely use it. Don't worry if you don't have one, a straw cut lengthways does exactly the same job. Just push it into the face for a smile. Add on some tiny fork arms to the front. For the back feet, roll a tiny oval and cut 2 slits in. Add these to the sides of the frog. Fill the sockets with balls of white and pupils in black. How can you resist this little frog? He's staring straight into your soul. Now most of the detail is on, we can fill gaps with mud drips. Just roll teardrop shapes from brown and add them on ledges and sides of the cake. For puddles, wet the board and flatten out some brown. Stick it down and pat out areas to make an uneven edge, pulling it larger. Now the heads have had time to set, insert the white eyes but leave the pupils for now. Add circles of a slightly deeper pink to the cheeks. Now slide the heads down the sticks, trimming them down to make sure they don't poke out the top. The reason we didn't add pupils yet is because we can control where they are looking, rather than George maybe accidentally looking towards the sky. Peppa's arms are made in the same way and stuck with water. For her waving arm, we are supporting it with wire. This is approximately 24 gauge, but it doesn't matter too much. It's just to hold a small arm. Slide the arm down the wire until it meets at the dress. For the tails, roll a tapered sausage and curl the paste up. Trim it to size and stick them round the back of George and Peppa. The ears are flattened teardrops with the narrowest part cut flat. 2 for Peppa and 2 for George. On this plate I've got snowdrift white dust and a red gel. Any will do, sugar flare, pro gel or your favourite. With a fine paintbrush, add water to the white dust to make a paint. Add a dab of the gel to make pink. To lighten it, add more white dust, and to deepen it, add more gel. Paint the rim of the snout and 2 dots for nostrils. Add a tiny touch more of the red for the smiles. Now you can add the black pupils. They can't get away with jumping in muddy puddles and walk away clean. Add a few mud splashes to their clothes or face. Finally, to finish off, roll out some white paste and cut out some flowers with your favourite cutter or plunger. Add them to a foam pad and thin out the petals. Place a yellow ball in the centre and add them around the remaining gaps of the cake. Peppa and George Pig certainly love their muddy puddles. Hope this tutorial comes in handy for you. If it did, feel free to share it with someone. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss these tutorials uploaded every Tuesday. Thanks guys!